All right, there we go. Welcome, Miss Pin. This is Alex Pin, everybody, and she used to be a primary school teacher and has since shifted into helping mothers to connect with who they are and to connect with their families. She is experienced in releasing triggers and untriggering yourself. She has a website where she teaches about the untriggered mother, correct?
Yes, exactly.
Okay, great. All right. So, Alex, I just wanted to start with a little bit about your background so people can understand where you come from and how you got to what you're doing now. So, you said you were born in Slovenia, yeah?
Yes, I was
Okay.
born in Slovenia at the moment. I still live in Slovenia. I was living in London also a little bit, but yeah, now in Slovenia. And it's just, I think that everything I think it's with every person, it's probably the same that the things that we experience or the things that we are missing, or just the things that we were experiencing as the children, we just develop them and go into that personal development growth. And then we just found out, ourselves or what works, and we see what is happening also with other people. And we just start then to just hear the calling to help also others. So it was the same with me. It's just, I was like hyperactive child and they just didn't know how to parent me, and I was like, they were just, they were really strict and hard. And because I was so hyperactive, I was always marked like being devilish. And it was just
Oh,
an
really?
expression. You are like a devil. It's just like, it's an expression here in my country. And when you add, this is the point also why I do what I do. When you add, you see a child hyperactive, it's just your anger appears, your face changes, your tone of voice changes. That's energy. Okay. And when you say it with the intention, you know, with the energy like that, to a child constantly, not just one, two, three times, but constantly, like it was with me, or you are fool, how can you do that? And all the stuff. Now, others, for me, it was you are like a devil, you are so devilish. Children see the expression. It's not
Yeah.
nice. They feel the energy and they observe it. And they start to they don't understand the words yet as we think they do. Okay, we just say. And then as children, I was doing the same. We do an inner meaning to the situation, what was happening. We create an inner meaning that becomes an inner belief. And once in children, every one of us made some kind of conclusion who they are. For me, it was really intensive because when I was 7, I heard a man. He came and said, "This is the worst thing ever. This is the devil. This is the worst thing ever lived," with a voice of despair. And I did a
Sorry, what
click.
do you mean you heard a man?
It's
What do you
just,
mean by
it
that?
was a situation. It was just one life situation. Someone entered into the room. I was in that room. That man was angry and he just screamed, with a voice of despair, you know, the devil, that's the worst thing ever. It was his anger, his thing. But I heard that. And for me, it was like, wow, that's me. Because everyone is saying this to me for the last 7 years because I
Oh,
was so hyperactive. So our words matter. What we say to each other, the energy that goes. Children live in that. Children don't understand. Children feel first, see and feel. And my life experience, with this and the traumatic experience that I also had, that I was abandoned by mother, but it was totally different situation. But I, as a child, experienced like a big abandonment. Plus this, it's just like inside was a total hell. Like it's just I was running
so
around. I was
I
dealing with,
just want to rewind a little bit
yeah.
before we get too far ahead of into the child thing. We'll get there, but first I wanted to ask, you were talking about your parents and the way they would
Mhm.
speak to you. Was that you said it, there's a saying in the country that, it's, and I think it's the same thing people hear a lot of times will say something like, oh, that's a little devil child, or, just joking around a lot of times. But I'm wondering, were your parents raised in the same way? Like what period
Yeah.
of the world were they
Yes.
raised in, and how did it
Yeah.
affect
Yeah.
them?
They had all the both of them had like really hard childhood. It was after the war, in Slovenia and everything. And yeah, they were not accepted, they were not seen, they were raised in that way too. And they didn't know how to raise a different way. It's just they didn't know. They didn't have so much knowledge
Yeah.
as we are having now and so much support. Just everyone was doing the same, but we have the
So
awareness now.
what time period were they raised in then? What time period was
From
it?
the
You said after the
yeah,
war? What
50s,
time period?
60s, 70s, 40s, 50s, 60s, 70s there. Yeah, in
Okay.
that period.
So that's a very hard time for
It
Slovenia.
was. Yes, it was
Yeah.
here. But it depends on the different countries. It's almost the same. As you said, we all have these sayings, these things, and sometimes we joke around that. I would be careful a little bit how we joke it, because we can joke with the voice of despair. We teach our children with that, how to make a
Yeah.
joke about something. It's nothing like just, oh, it's just a joke. Well, sometimes it's not just a joke. Sometimes children are listening, they are learning. I think that we can be a little bit more responsible. And that is, being emotionally mature, being responsible for what you are saying, what you are doing, how you're feeling, how you're modeling.
Yep.
Not in a strict way. It's just if you mess up, you just, you know, realize it, go and apologize, also have a talk with yourself and with the child, and you are breaking those generational patterns we all are doing now really intensively in the area of parenting.
So your parents grew up with that strict
Mhm.
and sort of austere environment, and then that's all they knew to raise you with.
Yes,
And
yes.
then so there for 7 years you're hearing things like, oh, you're the devil because you were so hyperactive. I read on your website that you had so many ideas about things and
Yeah.
how you wanted to save the world. What were some
Yeah.
of those things that that young girl wanted to do?
I think that the things that I'm doing now, it's just, I saw the world differently. I was experiencing it differently. Probably a little bit of my supernatural experiences, all of the things. It's just, I just saw the world differently. I could feel them. I could see that they are not doing the right, the things are just not going and moving in the right direction. But I didn't know how to communicate that. No one taught me how to communicate. No one saw me, because I was like really totally different. I was like having that fight inside of me, to save for the liberty and freedom. I really was really intensive, in that. That's why I did all the projects that I was doing, and later became to write children's stories, because this children's mind for me is something really special, and we can really help them, understand themselves, their inner world, and the life around them. And I think when we start to speak their language with the language of stories, they just understand it a little bit different. And also that's why I started to create fairy tale meditations, about the positive thinking, everything about gratitude and the things, how we function inside, to give the parents the tools, that they can use in their parenting, to just break the generational patterns and just create a different future, which are our children. So I think it's something the same. I'm doing this now, but as a child, I was like, how can I save the world? How can I just make this world better? I just felt that really, really strong. And they didn't know how to just put me on the track in a different way. But the way they did was the best way, because all those experience that I had from abundant men and how they were raising me, that was the material for inner growth. And it's not so it is painful, but that's a message for everyone. Just everything what we had experienced in one way is some kind of a door, you know, to your heart, to your soul,
Mm.
to that who you truly are. It is a little bit wrapped up in pain and anger and a lot of things, which are not pleasant, but there are big keys inside. There is a secret inside. It's just that's why being brave, just being honest and being brave and being vulnerable,
Yep.
is so super important, because when you are vulnerable, then you connect with yourself, with life, what it is, and with people around you. Is it your partner or your kids? It's super important.
I want to get more into that in a minute. But first, I wanted to ask about for those who have felt a similar, I know women in general tend to be much more susceptible to a feeling of abandonment,
Mm-hmm.
whether it's your husband going out the door and not telling you when he's coming back,
Yes.
or whether it's something like what you experienced. Can you tell us? I'd like to get a sort of background on what happened with your experience of abandonment, and then later on we'll get into how you have now taken that and used that as fuel for what you do now. Um, because I know what you're saying is true. And I think there's a really important mentality behind all of that, that we can, like you said, use courage and power and become the people who are in charge of our lives instead of victims to whatever past traumas we have. Because it comes down to choosing which way we're going to look at it. It comes down to how we view our situation.
It
But before we
is.
get into that, can you tell us what happened back when you said two?
When I was 2.5, yes,
Okay.
I had an older bro. I still have an older brother, and my
Sorry, and
mom
you
went.
remember this?
Yeah, 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 yeah,
Wow.
yeah,
Oh,
yeah. I was remembering the pain for years, like through my whole body. And that's why I say that children feel. These are really important marks for my life, and they stayed. And they stayed with the pain just to teach me something so that I can heal and grow. I was 2.5, and I could feel that something is happening. I can feel this. I know how it was. And at that time, they didn't tell me, it's just they were not talking with kids. Just put them in the bed, it's just, just put her in the bed. And I know that I was, because of the energy that it was, what I was feeling, that something will happen. I was like naughty. And in the morning, when I woke up, my mom was gone. My brother was gone. Like no one was in the house. My grandparents were in the stables, but I woke up and I realized that I'm left out. And I was running. I was remembering this for years. I was running and desperately screaming in the whole house, trying to find my safety. Mom, it was gone. And I could feel that pain through the whole stomach inside for years and years, and I didn't know why it was. So this is not something that just popped up and I woke up in one morning and I realized everything. This took me a lot of 6 years of just being in therapy, and I think that 10 years I'm working already with a coach. It's just like it really took me years to put the pieces together to understand myself, my abandonment, because of that, plus the devilish part, I was trying to find myself in relationships in teenage years. I was trying to find myself with alcohol, but the pain was too bad. It's just every time someone left or something, as you said, it was like destroying inside of me. Like
it just brought it back up.
I'm
So what, can
my
you tell
self
me where
worth.
she was?
Sorry.
So
Yeah,
can you
my
say
mom. My
where she
mom
was?
went to see. My mom went to see my father. He was in Germany, and she went there but she took with her. She took my older brother. And 40 years later, I was writing the book, which became a bestseller in Slovenia, and now I'm rewriting it into English. I was writing this book, and my mom came to me and said, "What are you writing about?" I said, "Oh, this and this and this." And I think people won't understand. She said, "Just explain me a little bit more." I said, "Yeah, I'm writing about when you abandoned me." And she was like, "I never did that." I said, "Yes, you did. From my point of view, I'm talking like a child now, okay? You did. You did this, and this." And my mom sat down. I never saw her so shocked, but in a positive way, like calmness, peace. She said, "I left you at home because I loved you so much. You were so hyperactive, and I went on the train, Balkan train, for 8 hours, and with going with 2 kids, I wouldn't be able to take care of you. You are a girl. I could only take one child with me. That's why I left you. I left you because I loved you, and I thought I'm going to die. At that moment, I was like, "This is what I was doing for 40 years inside of me, and you're telling me this now?" No, it's just, but I was
Oh my
building the
goodness.
whole time. I was really building my
Wow.
connection with my mom because it was not a good one. And I was really investing because for me, it was important. For me, it was always, if I don't have the connection and the relationship with my mom, my son won't have the relationship with me. Just, I have to build it. And it was like
So did
experience.
when did she come back? Were you alone all day or what happened?
3 months. She was gone 3 months at that time.
So who were you with in the meantime?
With my grandparents. I don't remember anything else. So just that
Okay.
part.
Okay. Okay. Just making sure.
Yeah,
So 2-year-old couldn't
no, that
survive on
was
their own for
enough.
that long. All right. So she came back after 3 months, and then
Yeah,
you still had this trauma from waking up and not knowing
yeah,
where she was.
yeah, yeah.
And you tried to deal with it through, you said, alcohol and relationships and
Yes, drugs also, just name it. I ended
mm,
up in a really abusive relationship and then ended up in a safe house. And then I slowly started to see I was just not in, I couldn't understand how I know that I'm a good person, that inner fight. I know that I'm good. I know that I want to do good. But why do I always have this situation? It's
yeah.
just then I started slowly to understand it's everything about how we feel, the energy, and we create and we attract things like that. And the only thing that I could actually do is change myself. And that just exploded when I became a mom. That was like awakening for me because I have to raise this child now. I want him to be confident. I want him to know who he is, no matter what other people are saying to him and his voices are saying to him. And I didn't know how to do that. So it's just I started to dig in
Yeah.
and just put the pieces together, created storytelling meditations and stories, just everything then became more got the meaning, I said, and all my story, life story, and
Yeah.
everything what I felt like a pain got a meaning.
Well, I want to ask you about something you just said, about the voices that we hear. And you were talking about
Thoughts.
the meaning that you assigned when your
Mm-hmm.
mother left, and the meaning that you assigned to yourself when you heard some other man say ranting about some random situation, and you assign that to yourself. And also that your son, you want him to have his the inner voice that he has, the inner dialogue, I suppose. You
Yeah.
want that to be good, regardless of what people around him say. I saw a quote the other day that said, something to along the lines of, be careful how you speak to your children, because how you speak to them becomes their inner voice.
Yes.
And I can say that that's true for myself, and it's taken and still takes effort to reprogram sort of that childhood programming that you get into your brain and the way you think and the way you talk, all of that. So I wanted to ask you how you changed it for yourself, because I know a lot of women have that exact same thing you've gone through, a different circumstance, but the same
Yes.
result. And they're trying to figure out how to make their brain work. And then they're becoming mothers and they're trying to achieve what you're achieving. So I guess we'll kind of shift now into what you do, and your perspective on all of that, how you get women to, like you said, untrigger themselves, and to not only untrigger, because I think a lot of people hear the word trigger and it comes across as an external stimulus that makes an involuntary response within you. But
It
I
can
think
be
what you're
internal
doing
too.
is teaching people to change how they, so it's not an involuntary response, to pause and create their own response. Is that correct?
Yes, yes, yes. I think that
Okay.
everyone, we all have callings, different kind of, for when life calls us
Yep.
that let's change. It can be I don't know, an argument in the beginning of the relationship. It can be just, I don't know, something at work. It just depends if we know how to hear that, if we know how to listen to ourselves and listen to life, let's say like that. But usually, I don't know, for me, it was like becoming a mom. For many other moms, it's like when they see their children, doing the same things that they do, or they realize, oh, I have to do something, or they, I don't know, don't know how to parent differently. Because for me, it was, my son was 3, tantrums were there, and he was not doing the things that I wanted. And I hit him first day, I hit him the second day, and I was like, and I could hear the voices from my parenthood, from my parents, put him on his knees because I was the one put it on my knees when I was. And I said, no, I cried for half an hour. I don't want to be a mother like that. Where did that come from? So it's just, we all have some kind of callings. We hear the words that our parents are speaking, and we don't want to be like that. It's just, or a relationship just doesn't work, or you hit an accident, something happens. Maybe this podcast is something that is like, for someone, it's just, the next thing is when we smell it, we see it. Okay, if we are really, really honest, we see that there is something that we need to do. The next thing is the step is just do it, or read a blog, or start journaling, or get some help, because dealing with inner things and who we are, we need to learn a little bit what is consciousness, how our negative self-talk works, which are the layers, how this everything inside of you is put it, who you are. It's just, I don't know, when I became a mom, I totally forgot about everything. I came to the store one day and I was like, oh, this is for my son, this is for my son, this is for my son. And I was like, what do I like? And I was like, okay, I don't know. It's, it's just so many things. And sometimes getting help for a shorter period, longer period, doesn't matter. Investing in ourselves, our personal growth, with who you connect, with who you can connect. Just don't pick anyone. Just go there where your heart leads you. We know, we feel it. And, just getting help is like self-love, self-love. And we just need to do it. And yes, we all are busy. We all have money issues. It's just, we all have so much to do and we don't have time. We have all those excuses. I think that it's really time that we start to be ridiculously honest. These are excuses. Okay, for how long? In the end, this affects our lives. This affects health. We are modeling, we are showing. And I didn't know how to do that. I had to learn how to communicate differently. I had to learn how to communicate my needs. I thought I was, doing okay and knowing some of the things because of the knowledge from child's development and being a teacher and blah, blah, blah. But my son refused the energy and the role of a teacher when I was like a teacher at home. No way. So it's just, there are so many things. I think that it's easier when you have a tribe, when you have a group, when you have like-minded people, when you just, are supported with your village, let's say, so that you can really become that mom, dad, partner who you needed or want to be. Just when we hear the calling, when we see, oh, this, we need to make a step. Life won't do it for us. We have to do it. And that takes courage, but it's not such a big deal, really, in the end. But I think that we are so, because of the fast life, we are so used to things go very fast and just in an easy way. But sometimes we need to dig in a little bit. If you want to plant a tree, you have to use some kind of power muscle, something will hurt you, some kind of pressure, so that you can plant something. That's normal. You have to use some pressure when you are typing. It's just, pressure, which evokes something unpleasant. It's not bad. It builds resilience. And we need to give this to our children too. We need to give
Yep.
them.
I wanted to ask you, you've said so many things that I could ask a million questions and go in different directions. And I wanted to talk a little bit. What one of the questions is when we're talking about those triggers that, like you were saying, people they see, they smell, and then they start to reenact almost the things that they went through or the trauma that they suffered, and they perpetuate upon other people. Could you identify for us some of those things that might put someone into a negative spiral, and then identify how we put a stop on those or how we reverse or change direction?
I think that if we start with a simple question, just why I was triggered, just what triggered me, what triggered me.
Okay, so let's
Yeah,
stop even before that. How does someone recognize that they were
yeah,
in the first place?
yeah. What triggered me outside was I don't know, the way how partner looked at me with the look or the tone of the voice, or I don't know, messy room because I said 100 times to my child, just clean the room. What triggered me? Because that
So how
trigger,
do you know that you have been triggered in the first place? How
you
can you
have
go,
an
oh,
emotional
I just got triggered?
you have an emotional reaction. It's just something happens inside of you. Some emotions happen. Usually we are angry, we get upset, we read up the voice. It's just like heart pulse. Something happens inside of you. But that emotional reaction lasts for 16 seconds and then it calms down if we know how to stay calm. But if it is
Sorry,
connected,
did you say 16 or
yeah,
60?
16
What,
seconds,
one
emotional
six?
reaction. 16 seconds.
So
After
if we
that,
can hold
our
on
mind,
for
yeah,
16 seconds, then we can get
if
through
we
it.
are
If
able
we
to stay calm, present, breathing, that's why we say stop and pause. Okay, stop and pause. And you see your mind starts to, you hush your mind, that will just disappear because it was just a chemical reaction. But we extend it because our mind grabs that chemical reaction, the emotion, and we start through subconsciousness. All the thoughts come, it's just we are not aware of that. We just then feel angrier and we have that dialogue in our head about the argument we had with our partner for 3 days, but it's getting bigger and bigger and bigger and it changes. Okay. So
Yep.
it's just we have to start to
Mm-hmm.
be observe that what happened in my body, my nervous system reacted something, the emotions came, the thoughts came. Okay. So something happened and something inside then it just was. So what's happening after that? Is it just, just to see? And when you know that, it's just then you start to use how to manage those triggers, how to manage inside. And if you go deeper, it's not always necessary to go deep. Okay, this is not the message that I want to give today. We don't always have to go and do the deep inner work. No, we don't. Just when it's really necessary. We don't. We can shift things faster. That's why you need to know who you
So we
are,
need to
how you function.
we need to interrupt the pattern of being triggered by
Yeah.
being pausing and keeping calm. And if we can do that for 16 seconds and we don't go back and re-trigger ourselves by thinking about it over and over and stressing ourselves over and over, we can, instead of going into this negative spiral, we can decide what we do.
You go to the spiral and you train then the positive spiral. This is not easy to do. Okay, this is not easy to do because when you are triggered, kids do something, okay, and they hit that spot, or I don't know, children come and say, oh, they were bullying me. Whoa, what happens inside? You want to protect them.
Yeah.
Something happens inside. Okay, and there are a lot of things. It's not just everything black and white, but yes, generally we can wrap up ourselves in negative spiral. But if we are able to stop and pause, doesn't matter which layer, start with consciousness and being aware and knowing yourself, knowing your body, knowing how you function, start to work and feeling, okay, positive spiral, And to train this, because we were training subconsciously negative spiral for a long time, train this with awareness, with consciousness, 24 hours a day, then it gets a little bit easier. And this becomes the ultimate reaction instead of
So
this.
this makes me think of changing your actual brain, because our brains obviously reinforce the wiring of that. Oh, here's something, I recognize this from the past. I need to run this old program of negativity and pain. But we are actually having to pause and consciously saying, let's rewire, let's create a new
Yes.
connection where we go into a positive action or mind. Like that's actually a change that is taking place
Yeah.
physically inside of your brain.
Yeah,
But we
you're
have
doing
to
it on
decide to do
multiple
that.
levels. You're doing
Yeah.
it at a physical level in your
Mm-hmm.
brain with awareness, changing other neurons, okay? Rewiring them, repeating thoughts. It's not just repeating thoughts, being aware of them, finding that place of consciousness, let's say inner wisdom for women, and feeling, turning on not those unpleasant feelings, but turning on your positive feelings. For an example, I help my clients just with five senses. You know, you like etherical oils that calm you. You pause yourself, just use etherical oil, and you build that calm feeling.
Yep.
And you are already shifting. This can be easy. This is not something like we think, we hear the podcast like this, or we read a blog or something, and our mind says, this is so hard. Okay, it takes a little bit of effort, but if you know, when you know who you are, how you function, what is turning you on, which music, touch, where to touch, you know, your nervous system, where to directly speak with your subconsciousness, it's easier. Very simple thing. If you place your hand on your chest, okay, if you just place it here, for those who don't know how to, who have a closed heart and would like to feel more connection, or feel more self-love, or feel more gratefulness, you need to connect with yourself. The touch here speaks directly to your subconsciousness, saying, you are home, you are okay. And you can
Yeah.
hold this hand here, or place on your child's, you know, the hand here on chest when it goes to sleep, or in the morning, or when it comes at home. You are doing with a simple thing, you know, a lot, because you speak directly through the touch, senses directly to subconsciousness, saying, love, it's okay. What happened? And when you're in the middle of the argument, you can place hand like here, and it helps you remind yourself. Or we usually forget about all the knowledge. And I say, just right here on your hand, a simple heart, make it an attention. I'm calm. I can pause. I'm confident. And we forget it. We read so many things. My clients always say, I've read so many stuff, read so many, you know, courses, but I always forget. Yeah, because we need to rewire our brain, but you have to, you know, put a reminder, and you see your hand every day for 500 times. And if you see it for 500 times, you will help yourself 500 times saying, I'm okay. I can do it. Or whatever. Things can be
So
simple.
you're creating positive triggers.
Yeah, reminders. Oh yeah, positive triggers. Let's say like this.
I like that. Those are two really good simple ones. Just hand placement on your heart. But I really like drawing the heart on your hand. And the reason I
Yeah,
like that is because of what you said. You're always using your hands. You're always seeing
yeah,
them. And
yeah,
that is a
yeah,
very,
yeah,
very repetitive and
yeah.
good training tool. Very useful.
That's it was. In my head was, because of everything, it was a mess. And I was reading a lot of books. And in the end, it was, how I'm going to support myself. I'm going to remind myself, you know, with what am I going to
Mm-hmm.
do? It's not just affirmation on the wall. I've realized that if I ask a question, it's better than affirmation. It's just, you know, I was
Yes.
trying to find the way to support myself. And I see that all my clients deal with the same thing, and children deal with the same thing. If you draw a sun on your, just sun, here, a small sun on your child's hand, you make a connection. You just say, I believe in you, I'm with you. You make a connection. They will see that in school or kindergarten, say, oh, my mom is with me. And if we teach them just to place a hand here, because there are a few, I call them like untriggered touch system. It's just like a hand here, and some of the different parts of our body communicate directly to our subconsciousness. And it's so easy. And it works with teenagers, it works with us, it works with kids, it works with our partners. We just need to know this. It's some of the things are really not so hard. But the thing is,
So,
we need to use
sorry.
them and do them.
Yep. Yep. I wanted to ask about for women, a heart on the hand or touching your heart. They seem things that women would be naturally wanting or naturally inclined to do. I think if I tried to draw a heart on my husband's hand, he would say, no, we're not doing that. What are
It's
some things
something
that men could do? Or you
different.
could help your teenage sons or young sons
It can be, we can
to
be
do.
creative.
Okay.
We like to write notes. Okay. It's just not a text, but a written note with a teenager. If you write a small note, put it into, I don't know, notebook somewhere, hands in a pocket, it's just somewhere that they accidentally, find that during the day or after 3 days. If you do that with your partner, that gives them a feeling, I'm seen. I'm seen. And when you read something on the note, not on your phone, when you read something on the paper that it's written, your mind starts to just create a positive, effect, because that was put a lot of effort. Someone was thinking about me. It's just this has a deep meaning. I mean something to someone. This works really good with teenagers. It's
Good.
not always about the heart. You can also, joke and make a spot. It's just that it can be also something different, but just be creative. We forgot as women to be creative because we are just a little bit playful and creative. That's what it is in our nature. You will find a way. If you want to reach your child or your partner, you will find a way. You will find a way. With the easy, creative things, we can do it. And it's important.
I
It's
love that.
really important part of being a woman.
I really like that. I think that's very good. Yeah, I'm gonna have to incorporate some of those as my kids get a little bit older, and also for myself. So I wanted to talk more about, we've talked a lot actually about what you do and what you teach, and you've taught a lot of what you actually teach. What else is it? I know you work with people individually. Are these the kind of things that you share with them?
Yeah, some of the things. Yeah, I I would say that everyone has a different story. I mainly love to work one-on-one because I'm really dedicated to that, and I want to give to a person experience that their back is covered, that they have someone there. It doesn't matter how they appear, what is happening with them, that they have that stability that maybe they didn't have, that they have someone who believes in them, that they are able to get help or reach someone that help when they need it. That helped me. So I really like to work one-on-one, and that the person is willing to change
Yes.
and that it's honest, because without that it doesn't go. But I then combine one-to-one sessions with group sessions, because the group sessions are really good. You can reflect and you can build, different parts of yourself. And I do also have a membership and different products like books, storytelling meditations, some of the courses that I'm preparing now. But my heart is with one-on-one clients. It's just, and
Yeah.
that is where I'm the best.
And so I wanted to ask also about your fairy tale meditations. You were talking about those. I personally love meditations. I think they're wonderful. I think everybody should use them for like 5 minutes a day, if nothing else. But I was wondering if you could tell me about why, I guess, with the fairy tale idea, what kind of meditations, why fairy tale? Why does that reach kids better?
I'll give you an example of one. Okay, you'll love it. So we want to teach children about the inner world, emotions, and thoughts, and how to regulate that. So, and I was thinking, how can I help my son? And I created this story, and I created it like a meditation because it has those elements. But the story
Mhm.
is about every one of us has an inner kingdom. Okay. Yes, we all have the inner
Okay.
kingdom. Children can join us now because we are, at the fairy tale meditation part. So you have your inner world, your inner kingdom. Every inner kingdom has a king or a queen. Every kingdom, every king and a queen has a power of a choice, decision, or like decision. What kind of a king or a queen you would like to be? And every kingdom has croaking frogs who wants to be kings and queens too. You
Mm-hmm.
know what I'm getting? So
Mm-hmm.
every king has to know their croaking frogs, has to know how to manage kingdom so that it's shiny, positive, and just the way they would like them to be. But for that, you have to know your croaking frogs because they multiply
Yep.
and they are different croaking frogs. Some of them are croaking you. Mom is not going to come and pick you up in kindergarten. She
Oh,
loves
that's terrible.
brother better. It's just there are different croaking frogs. And when a child listens to the fairy tale meditation like this, and you know which elements, what I teach actually then, with those elements, how to use this in your parenting. Because what kind of a king or queen the two of us would like to be, like mothers? What do you need to do for that? What's stopping you? How are you going to manage that? How are you going to manage and hush croaking frogs? So this is the way
Sorry,
how
can you
I
just
try
one
to help
second?
parents.
Just 1 second. Hold on.
Yeah.
Sorry. Just a sec.
No, it's
My
okay.
son, like, you can't let him in.
No, it's
Okay.
okay.
All right, there we go. You can't let him
Yeah.
in. Ah! Oh my goodness.
Okay.
My babysitter fell through today.
Yeah, but it just
Out.
okay. I know that you've already started, but don't worry. If they come, you just pick them up in there, because they come, they want connection. You just pick them up. I can just
Yes.
put everything in the story. I know how to do that. It's just don't worry, okay? If they need a
Okay.
moment, they
That's
need a
fine. Like
moment.
you can't come in right now. Ah!
But
That's
they
okay.
feel the
All right.
they feel the resistance. Just if you let them go
Yes.
2-3 minutes and then you go. So okay, where we
Yes.
go. So the material, the story fairy telling meditations that for example, this one about the croaking frogs and inner kingdom is just
Yes.
after that, when they hear this, the story like this becomes and its elements, you can use that in your parenting. If I don't know, something happened in school, what kind of a king, what kind of a friend you would like to be, what kind of other kings you would like to be. So I try to help parents with metaphors and I teach them how to use these metaphors, okay, so that they raise up children who know who they are inside. And you go through the same process with that. And it's easier. Sometimes we are so full of knowledge and nervous system and I don't know what, that our mind and ego is full of that. But if you go and switch a little bit to the story, because we like to tell stories about us, we're sharing the stories all the time, life stories, whatever, with our friends, what happened. Stories are part of us. And you connect with your heart when you start to talk about stories. And when you use metaphor, you reach child's soul, child's heart much faster. And this is what I'm teaching them then. How to use this, how to understand themselves, also with the stories, how to speak with children, how to really honestly talk about those croaking frogs. What are they croaking? Because it's easier. It's easier that you have an element like croaking frog inside, which is croaking, but it is actually a thought. It's not you, your consciousness. And it's easier to
Mm.
look at, you don't feel so not good enough. Because when we speak with our children about the things that are happening, their basic conclusion is still 80%, I'm not good enough. And if you don't know how to unswitch that, unlock that, they have that. We all have. We have to know how to help them then. stories are a beautiful way. But yeah, you have to know
That's
a little
really
bit how
beautiful.
to use that. So that's why I'm teaching that also, part of my coaching.
It sounds like I need to listen to that with my kids as well.
They are
Coaching
coming now.
together.
I'm preparing them. So yeah, they are coming. A lot of them.
Okay, good. Good.
And the
So
book and so on. Hmm?
have you already written those in your own language and you're putting them into English now?
I have 11 of them with courses in Slovenian
Okay.
language. And now I'm
Okay.
preparing the book with another story, the similar one, about the triggers and what is happening. So that is going to be the basic one. This is going to be published in a month or two, something like that. And it's part of my coaching. And yeah, I think that already this year, some of the courses with fairy tale meditations will also be available. There's like small products, that they can start to use and then just go into your self-discovery journey, what actually parenthood is.
Mm, that's the thing. It seems to be a journey where you keep on layering more and more of not only what you are, but what you have been through all the years. Do you know what I mean?
Releasing
You've
that,
got,
accepting
yeah.
that, learning from that, not blaming yourself. It's just there are two parts, just one is parenting a child, the other part is reparenting, inner world and yourself.
Mm.
So it's just like, yeah, we're doing more parenting stuff than just one.
Double parenting at least.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh my goodness. So how do you when you're talking about reparenting yourself for your clients and you were talking about a village, do you find it works better when people have other people to talk with and communicate with about their problems, or does that create a sort of veneer of I have to look a certain way and I have to be perceived a certain way because I am not, like you were saying earlier, completely vulnerable, which,
I love
or
that
does it just
question.
depend?
I love this question. The part I have to be like something is just one part of mechanisms, that we've developed to be someone else. And, it's just when they see, because I'm really honest and I talk really honestly about all this, and my clients get used to and have the space, safe space, where they can train and be honest as much as they can be. Like, doesn't matter what we are talking about and what kind of pain we are talking about or situations. When you come into the group like this, it's a little bit odd in the beginning because we are really honest and really go deep, and you feel like, oh, someone's going to hurt me. But then you start to reflect. You start to reflect and you see how actually that helps you grow, and that gives you courage, and you have the support. And when you say something, you open a little bit, you get a support, you get love, you get understanding what actually we need because we are afraid. We put all these masks on us and trying to be just someone else, but it doesn't work. And it's not easy to put the mask down, and be honest and say this, like, this is really happening. And I feel like this and this and this, or whatever. Or, it's not easy. But when you have the environment like that, and you start to feel safe. But with each person, it goes differently. I just know when someone is ready that I go and say, let's come and join also to the group coaching. Because if someone is really vulnerable, I won't, introduce a person right away into the group coaching because it's going to be too much. We have to heal that. The connection has to be built. A person has to get some good results, self-confidence, and then it's just with everyone is different. Really think that everyone is unique. I don't like to give like written scripts. It's just everything is just use that. No, because it's not about the script. It's not about copy pasting something. It's about who you are. It's about how you're going to express that. Because that will carry your inner world and your energy. It's not about the script. The script won't help. It can give you some mental things, okay, and open some doors, but you have to unlock inside. And this is actually with vulnerability and how to be honest and how to express needs to a friend, to a boss, I don't to your mother or to your partner. This is what I'm teaching them. We train how to, we need a model too. I've learned that we need a model for some of the things like to become emotionally mature and to heal. We need a model. It's the same. Our children need the model for some of the things. We need to reparent ourselves. We also need a model. If I say to a woman, just that tell your husband, okay, that you, I don't know, miss a hug, they will usually say, I'm missing a hug. Why don't you hug me? I said, I didn't say it like that. Did you say, could you please listen to me a little bit? Voice, how are you going to say it? I really would like to express something where it's maybe vulnerable. I don't want to be a tacky. I don't like that part about just come to a feminine part. We need a model how to be vulnerable, how to go through that vulnerable door. Otherwise, we are just fight, tag, and we think we won. No, you didn't. We are just, disconnecting. Because when you do the things in the right way, connect always. In a relationship, with the children, with a friend, with a mom, until that connection isn't there. It feels like calmness. It feels like warmness. Feels like, oh, you okay? If you don't have that feeling after the argument, and you have like, I told him, I said, I stand up for myself. No, you don't. We lose it a lot of times. I think we need
So
a model here and there.
getting well, that's the thing. Most of the models we see nowadays are very masculinized, very much in your face and very overwhelming and very much into a sort of forceful power. But a feminine power is not the same as a masculine one.
No.
And we have like it's a more quiet one. It's not as I think of it more like when I think of masculine power, I think of red, a very bold, overpowering color. When I think of feminine power, I think more of like a deep blue river or something that's really strong, but it's not going to scream, look at me, if that makes sense. So I think finding a feminine role model, if you don't have one in your life, is especially for reparenting, is going to be very hard for a lot of women. So where would they look for that sort of thing?
You already said you find someone when you feel the connection. Is it a friend, some other, friend's mom, therapist, coach? It's just we feel it. We feel there is something. The connection is, and we just need to go. And if you really want to do, I would really, I would put it like a law, that someone invests every time in a personal growth because I think it's so important.
All right. Well, I wanted to say thank you for everything. I've learned a lot. Um, I think I have a lot to work on myself. And I think I'm going to use that heart thing again, that just to remind me, I really, really like that. I know for you, it's just, I think most of the best things that we do are the simple things.
Yes.
And I'll be doing that and pass it on to the listeners. Thank you for your time, Alex. I really appreciate that.
Thank you for
All right,
having
I'm
me,
going to stop
really.
the recording. You're welcome.